Hello. The Divine Code reading for August 26th, pages 159 and 160. Topic 13. The same applies to one who slaughters to a demon. So the last topic discussed slaughtering, or discussed doing things in front of a natural object like a mountain or a river. Demon is also a created entity, therefore would be similar to a natural object. As it says, Leviticus 17:7, and you shall not sacrifice any more sacrifices to the demons. And that's explained with Rashi. It also says in Deuteronomy 37:17, they slaughtered to demons, not to God, which is idol worship. And this is idol worship, and the person is liable. And Rambam on Exodus 23, Ramban on Exodus 20, verse 3, Leviticus 16, verse 8, and 17, verse 7. Also, anyone who serves a demon in the manner which their worshippers have established, or one of the four previously mentioned temple services, is committing idol worship and is liable for this. Tractate Sanhedrin 65a explains that one who makes an offering to a demon commits idol worship. Also, Ramban in the previously mentioned three sections, and the Guide to the Perplexed, page 384. So basically, the rules that apply to idolatry would also apply to a person that was serving a demon. Topic number 14. One who throws an animal from a high cliff for a service of an idol or demon in the manner similar to the ritual of the Yom Kippur scapegoat, which God commanded to be pushed off a cliff, is liable for serving idols if that is the idol's traditional manner of service. So if an idol has a normal part of its service to throw an animal off a cliff, then obviously that would be a prohibition to do that. However, if this is not the customary way of serving the particular idol or demon, the person is not liable unless the idol is served in another manner by killing animals, and he throws it off the cliff in a way that breaks its bones. Since it is broken into separated limbs after he throws it, this resembles slaughtering. We see this from Tractate Yoma 34a and Ramban, Laws of the Yom Kippur Service 5:17, which explains regarding the goat that was sent out and thrown off the cliff during the Yom Kippur service in the Holy Temple. Pushing it off the cliff to its death is considered to be slaughter. From this, we can infer that such action for idol worship would also be considered to resemble slaughtering. This is only if the body is broken into pieces through the fall. But if it remains whole, it is not considered to even resemble slaughtering. The ruling for such actions, whether the animal was broken into pieces or not, is clearly that of breaking a stick. See topic 19 below. Therefore, we are referring only to the case in which it is customary to use the animal for some ritual service of an idol, even if the ritual does not involve killing the idol, so the person would be liable for a capital sin. Now, we've already learned that separating a limb off the animal, if the animal is used in some service, then separating a limb from the animal would be considered resembling slaughtering, similar to breaking a stick, which is the common metaphor used here. We've already learned that. Now, what it's explaining here is the Yom Kippur service, they would take the animal to a high cliff. They would throw it off the cliff. The breaking apart might refer to breaking of bones, not that the limb actually detaches. Because you throw an animal off the cliff, I mean, I've never tried this, but I understand if you throw an animal off the cliff, it wouldn't necessarily separate the limbs completely, but rather it might break the bones of the limbs, and that's considered to be like breaking. So therefore, if a person just simply broke the limbs of an animal in front of an idol that was not usually served that way, that may not be considered like slaughter. However, if he throws it off the cliff, if it breaks the bones, because that's something used as slaughter in the holy temple, if the person did it in that way, it would be pushed over into the area of being a capital sin. If the animal that he pushed over a cliff broke its bones or broke its limbs. Yeah, but if he just simply broke the limbs in front of the idol, standing in front of the idol with a mallet or something and broke the limbs, that would not be what it's referring to here, unless he separated the limbs in front of the idol. So this is a very narrow technicality where this would be the case. Topic 15. One who brings a meal offering for an idol is liable, for example, of wheat or barley flour, gathering some amount of it by hand or with a vessel, even without the intention to burn it. Since gathering meal is similar to sacrificing, this was also a service in the Holy Temple. In Mishnah, nope. Li Melech on Hilkot Avoda Kohanim 3:4, quoting Tosafot on Tractate Yoma 64a. So gathering of the meal is necessary for the service in the temple. Separating the meal, separating the stalks of grain, separating that from the ground is considered a type of sacrifice or type of slaughter, even if that particular action is not seen as a service for that idol, but it's being done. You know, the person's going to use that meal or the stalks of grain eventually for service of the idol. Therefore, the cutting of the stalks would be considered a liability in and of itself, and that's even more similar to the concept of breaking a stick in front of an idol. One who harvests grapes or cuts wheat or any fruit, tree, vegetation, or flower for the sake of idol worship is liable, even if the idol's traditional manner of service is not by harvesting the produce, but by another service that's performed with the produce, such as offering it on the altar. This is because harvesting is similar to sacrificing. So that it wouldn't just be the stalks of grain, it would be if the person uses flowers. If placing flowers before the idol is considered a form of idol worship, then cutting the flowers in preparation for that would be considered slaughter, and therefore the person would be liable just for cutting the flowers. That would be later used as a service for the idol. From Tractate of Vodazara 51a, according to Rashi, this is comparable to an idol that is served by waving or breaking a stick before it, for which one is liable. Therefore, this ruling applies to harvesting of any types of fruits or vegetables or cutting trees, for these are all comparable to breaking a stick. Topic number 16. Throwing an object for the sake of idol worship is included in the general prohibition of pouring a libation. If one throws an object that it breaks and splatters, which is like pouring blood on the altar in the holy temple. This applies to all liquids such as blood, wine, oil, water, honey, or fruit juice. So one of the four methods of worship in the temple is the libation. The blood of the sacrificed animal was collected in a vessel. It was brought to the altar, just a little ways away, and it would be splattered. It'd be kind of thrown. The vessel would be like lifted, so it would splatter on the sides of the altar or on the corner. So, the altars would hit a couple different sides at the same time. But the idea is that it's thrown and it splatters, and that's what's being shown here. If a person is throwing something, splattering it, even if it's not a normal way of worshiping the idol, that action of throwing something so it splatters would be considered a liability, a capital sin for the person. If it's a just some miscellaneous idol, and the person had a cup of grape juice, or no, a cup of anything, water, and he throws it towards the idol and it splatters, that would be considered one of the temple services, even if the idol usually doesn't do it, have that kind of a service, and that would be a capital sin because the person did that before the idol. Honey or juice, although they are not poured on the altar of the holy temple, still have the property of pouring, which is applicable to them. And just as Ravad and Tor Shulchan Aruch Yordea, chapter 139, holds that one is liable for anything that is comparable to slaughtering, as explained above in footnote 55. So too, one is liable for anything comparable to pouring. It appears that according to Rambam, it depends on the debate between Keshef, Mishnah, and Shah. In Rambam's opinion, Keshef Mishnah on Hilkot Avoda Kohanim 3:4 holds that anything that is poured is similar to the temple service, and Shulchan Aruch Yordea 139.6 holds that one is only liable if it is the traditional manner of serving the idol. So I guess there is a question as to whether or not various liquids would qualify, even if it's not the traditional manner of serving the idol. But the halakha is that it does apply. If it's something that splatters, then it doesn't apply. If a person throws for the sake of idol worship, if the person throws something for the sake of idol worship that is solid and does not shatter, like a stone or a stick, that is not similar to pouring a libation. You see that in Ravad, Tur, Shulchan Aruch, Yeridea, 139.3, all disagree with Rambam and the laws of the worship of stars and idols, 3.4. So in this case, the halakha is going with the other group that if the person threw a brick or a stone, but it doesn't splatter, it doesn't break apart, then it would not count as being similar to the temple service. Unless, of course, so he is not liable for a sin unless this is the traditional manner of serving the idol, such as throwing a stone towards a statue of Merculus. So if it's the normal way of serving the idol, is to throw a stone towards it, then because it's a normal way of serving the idol, then the person will be liable. But if the person threw a stone at a different idol that is not a traditional manner of serving that idol, a stone doesn't splatter, therefore it would not be considered like the temple service, and the person would not be liable for that. Thank you.